Thank you all for joining us for this segment of Academy 101. Tonight, we are going to be breaking down the Child of Mandalore kit. I don't know if it's a store kit, what it is, but we're going to be breaking down that kit in its entirety. Plus, we're going to be giving you some lists that you can use to help build in case your store decides to hold this event. JJ will break down all of our different scenarios and talk about the different lists, how they interact, and how you can accomplish or win at each of the different scenarios. All right, so let's move into the Child of Mandalore scenario. JJ, you wanted to cover this. It's not Children of Mandalore, is it?
Yeah, it's Children of Mandalore. Yeah,
why correct. The hell do I keep saying Pride of Mandalore then?
Because Pride of Mandalore was the where the gauntlet and all the Fang Fighters and stuff came out for that, so that's why.
Pride Month, that's why.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So this is a new scenario or store scenario pack, I guess, that's coming out soon here, and maybe some of your local shops or stores will be running this event here. I know that mine here will be running this July 1st over here. So I wanted to take a look at this pack here and kind of take a look at it because it does give you a new way to list build here. So there's two different scenarios on here, and they run kind of similar to what we've seen before, but it does have a few twists on here for the game here. So the first one that we have here is called Best Card Recovery. For squad building, during the squad building, you're going to determine which of the two players are going to be the aggressor and the protector, and each player builds a squad up to 20 points. And the squad has to include at least one non-limited ship, aka a generic that's not pipped. And during the squad building, they choose that generic essentially to become a Child of Mandalore, which means that ship gains the Mandalorian keyword, and it also gains a missile slot and an additional 10 loadout points. And they ignore the upgrade slot requirements for Mandalorian key build awards. So in other words, let's say you have a Y-wing that you choose to be the Child of Mandalore. That Y-wing can now equip Beskar armor or Mandalorian optics, or run clan training if they have a talent slot on that ship as well. So the scenario here has two sides. The aggressor is trying to stop the protectors from recovering Beskar caches, where the protectors are trying to recover as many caches as possible. Now, the setup here is a little bit different than what we normally see for, like, for instance, like salvage mission here. Essentially, the scenario marker, the central one is placed in the center, just like normal, and then each other Beskar is placed at range beyond range 2 from the neutral edge, and beyond range 1 from the other Beskar caches there, and then obstacles are placed as normal. So kind of very similar to the scramble transmission, and same type of scenario victory conditions. You got to have 20 points or more in order to win the game, or the 12th round ends. So what's different about this one here is that at the start of the system phase, if the aggressor has any Beskar caches in the reserve, they must place them one at a time at range 4 from all other player edges, and beyond range 1 of any other Beskar caches. Now, in addition to the Child of Mandalore title that generic gets, they also get a condition card they can assign to them. They can either have a traditional war, which allows them when they perform an attack during the modified dice step, they can spend one of the 3 charges to reroll one of their blank results, and those charges cannot be recovered. Or they can have the tradition of peace, where while you defend during the modified attack dice step, they can spend a charge, and they do, the attacker must reroll one of their crit or hit results of their choice. And again, you have 2 non-recurring charges for that there. Now, very similar to salvage, you can perform a tow action during your perform action step to take a Beskar cache if you're the protector, trying and bring it onto your ship there. While you're towing in Beskar cache, you cannot reposition. Essentially, you can't do any barrel rolls, boosts, cloak actions, or slam actions, or gain cloak tokens. And if you do suffer a crit, of course, you got to jettison that crate out there. So one of the added features for this particular scenario is the deliver action. So if a ship that's towing a best card cache performs a deliver action, if it is range 0 to 1 of its own board edge, if it is not stressed, they can remove the best card cache from their ship card and score mission points according to the scoring rules. Then the aggressor takes the deliver best card cache and places it in reserve, which at the beginning of the following turn they get to place that back on the board there. And only the ships, only ships controlled by the protectors can perform deliver actions. Obviously, since they're the ones trying to get it there. Now, the scoring on this is actually really interesting because if the protector earns 1 additional points, if the ship that is towing that best card cache has the condition card traditional war or traditional peace. So that means that you can end up potentially getting 2 scenario points for delivering it. And while a friendly ship performs a deliver scenario action, the protector earns 3 mission points as well. So that's even more points there. So this can actually accelerate the game, and it makes that ship that's carrying that crate even more important for you to go get that there. The protectors also earn 2 additional points if the ship that performed deliver action had been assigned one of those conditions there. Now, on the opposite side, the ships that are trying to go after the protectors to prevent them from scoring there, they earn a mission point if their ships that's towing a best card cache had been assigned that tradition, a peace, and traditional war. And when one of the aggressors' attacks causes an enemy ship to jettison a best card cache, the aggressor earns 2 mission points. And if the aggressors earn 1 additional point if the defender was assigned a traditional war or traditional peace there. So if your opponent is going for that big score and you manage to get that crit through to make sure that they drop that that cache there, that's pretty huge. You're able to get even more points to do that there. And then additionally, for destruction, when a ship is destroyed or removed from play, the opposing player earns mission points equal to the squad point of that destroyed ship, just like normal. But if that destroyed ship had the condition card for traditional war or traditional peace, the opposing player earns 3 additional mission points there. So if you have a ship that costs like 7 mission points and it's a generic and it had that there, you could potentially earn 10 points just from killing that one ship.
I'm going to stop you for a second. These would have been very important when we were building lists earlier, because that's crazy. You don't want to put that on a Fang fighter, right? Like, oh no, here it goes. Here's a Fang fighter that has all this other stuff. I don't know. Like, that seems crazy to me. Like, oh, let's put it on a gauntlet. Okay, no problem, right? But on a Fang fighter, I don't know.
So it depends, right? Because you want a little bit of both, right? You want a high agility ship that can potentially evade shots, but at the same time, you want them to be tanky enough to not get killed, right? And if you're a generic fighter, which tends to be lower initiatives, if you're at range 1, I gotta say, Fang fighters do pretty well. They have a token, and at range 1 with Concordia face off, I mean, they can be that tank right at range 1. So it just really depends on how you set yourself up for that that delivery.
So here's my Soontir Fell, range 2, bullseye.
Exactly. Yeah. There you go. Crack shot.
Crack shot. Yeah. I don't know. Like, maybe we're just trying to break this scenario too hard. I don't know, Alex. I mean, you're shaking your head too. Fang fighters seem silly, right?
I just don't believe in Fang fighters in general right now.
All right. Well, Jesus Christ, you're killing me here.
But no, do you know what you put? No, we'll get to that when we do list building.
All right. So this feels like an enhanced version of salvage. Am I incorrect in that? Like, yeah, that's kind of what this feels like.
Yeah, it's definitely an enhanced version of salvage. Absolutely.
And I'm not opposed. I'm not opposed to it. And you did not go over the tradition of war, tradition of peace cards.
Yeah, that's when you perform an attack, you can spend a charge to modify, or rather to reroll one of your blank results with traditional war. Or for traditional peace, you can spend a charge to reroll a crit or hit result from your opponent, and you only get 2 charges for that one.
Yeah, that one almost feels better, right? Because it's every time they roll a crit, you just reroll it.
Yeah, if you're an aggressor too, right, you want to probably use the reroll one, right, for offense. And if you're the one trying the protector, you're trying to definitely avoid those crits. So yeah, definitely.
So
Yeah,
another quick question. So in the case of crack shot, right? Does tradition and priest trigger first before crack shot?
yeah, because crack shot would be during the neutralized results.
Oh, crack shot's even after that. Crack shot is basically the last thing you do.
Yeah.
Okay. So you would be able to say, okay, let's say you roll like 2 hits and a crit. You'd be able to go, all right, I'm going to make you re-roll that crit. It re-rolls into a blank. You can't re-roll that dice.
Hmm.
Then they would have to choose if they have some other way to re-roll. They could, or they could crack shot your evade or whatever, if they wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I like that. Can I have that in standard? I want that in standard now. What do I got to do? AMG, give us this in standard. All right. So that was the first scenario, right?
Yeah, exactly. Now the other scenario is called cargo disruption. Now
All
this
right.
one here,
So hold on. I'm going to stop you
yeah,
though,
go ahead.
because we got lists, right? And to me, it seems smarter instead of spending the next 15 minutes of you reading all the other stuff for the other scenario. While we have the scenario fresh in our mind, can we go over the list that you have associated
Yeah,
with the first
absolutely.
one? All right. Tell me which list to pull up, and that's what we got.
I will go down the line here. So the first one here was Rebels here. So this one is a 20-point list here with Rebels. Now, I had a hard time choosing a generic that I wanted to run with this one here, mainly because there wasn't a plethora of options that I thought would work very, very well for this one here. So sadly, the Rebel Gauntlet is pipped. So it does not count as being the non-limited ship for this particular scenario, sadly. So I went with the Lothal Rebel here in the BCX here. Now it comes with 8 loadout points. You do get 10 additional points on here as well as a missile slot. I went with dorsal turret, homing torpedoes, and then Ezra gunner to fill out that extra slot there for the gunner there, bringing it to a total of 18 loadout points for this one here. Being able to double tap with the after primary shot with Lothal Rebel at initiative 2, especially if you're going after a particular ship that has that crate, you're going to have a pretty good chance of damaging it severely or possibly getting a crit through, especially if the rest of your list is able to do damage ahead of time. Another good objective grabber that I think is worth mentioning here is Sabine Wren, just being able to position herself in a better way to grab a crate and run towards her edge, especially having a 5 straight. I think that's a really great asset for her, and having Beskar reinforced plating to help her survive that initial joust is really good. I did have Kiovenzi in this particular list here with proton rockets just to try to scare somebody away or at least distract them from grabbing my other objective carriers, but also another great candidate to grab the Beskar and run. Wedge Antilles here, I went for a Predator and marksmanship just because I do want to make sure that I have a ship that can reliably push those crits through, especially with Wedge being able to reduce the agility of potential Beskar carriers and get those crits through. And then, of course, Luke Skywalker with the Battle Yavin version with instinctive aim and proton torpedoes. Really great way to just throw out a torpedo out there if you just happen to not have a lock on them, and proton torpedoes generates that crit automatically there. And Luke with attack speed, a 4 straight boost is really good, really fast. Allows Luke to get into the fight really fast and get some points.
So, what if you swapped out Wedge? What if you swapped out Wedge for, I don't know, a Y-wing that can ionize? And I only ask that question, right, because if you're ionizing them, you can stop them from
running.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's possible. I mean, I would look to golly, what's that 3-point Y wing? Horton Psalm, I believe, would probably be my choice, just because it's 3 points. You're able to get the ion on there, the ion turret on there, and you got 2 points to either put in R4 Astromech if you want to, or you could put in Tier from Belling Run if you want to just ignore some of the obstacles there and still shoot off your cannon, or you got different options on there. I think that would probably be a good choice for that, being at I4 and having that ion cannon.
All right. The next list you have is a scum list. Is this also a recovery list or no?
Yes, this is also a recovery list here. So this one here, I was really undecisive. I couldn't really decide like which one I thought would be the better one to go with, but I ended up staying with the ST-70 assault ship, generally known as the Razor Crest, as my ship here. So this one here would get 20 loadout points here. So I filled this one out here with Fenral and Han Gunner, as well as Contraband Cybernetics, to round out that list. Now, I chose out that particular loadout there because the timing for Han Gunner and Fenral are the same, so you can essentially get a red focus, then use Fenral to remove that stress if you happen to go faster than a full stop. And that allows the auto rim enforcer to either take a target lock if they happen to have somebody ahead of time and be double modded, or take another action if they need that, assuming that they're not stressed already. I loaded this out with Lima Kai with targeting synchronizer and ion cannon. This helps activate Captain Seavor's concussion missiles in the event that he's not able to get a lock there. Being an I5 and able to potentially outmaneuver somebody out the side. You can get that target lock for Lima Kai, shoot somebody with an ion, keep them slow, and that could set up a potential kill shot for Seaver with concussion missiles. Dirge also be an I5 with the boost and proton cannons. This is a really good hunter, along with Cad Bane, just being able to generate those crits with proton cannons, and Cad Bane with Zuckuss, able to pass off that stress if he does hit with that proton cannon, can really limit the dial of any carrier that wants to run away. And then, of course, Seavor being able to jam opponents as well. I think this is a solid list.
All right. So can I be picky, a little bit picky?
Sure. Go ahead.
And tell you I disagree with the Zuckuss piece.
What would you put in for Cad?
I just feel the Zuckuss. I like contraband and I like proton cannons a lot. Personally, I think both of those do a decent, let's say, a decent job, right? I think the bigger thing is if you have that 6 points, right, you could run another illicit. You could run FTC, though that's not my style. You could run Overtuned if you would like Overtuned for the extra stuff. And with Cad's ability, you could get rid of the strains after you shoot. So you could, let's say you only use 2 out of the 3 strain. If you don't want to clear it next round, you just have to be able to shoot initiative wise. Otherwise, you get that 6 points you could put into a talent slot, right?
Right.
And with that, I don't know. Like, to me, I would almost be putting marksmanship and either thermals or protons bombs.
I do marksmanship Lazarazi because Lazarazi really helps with the survivability of Cad Bane, and it's not hard for people to be stressed.
That's true. Yeah.
All right.
I just played a game recently with Cad Bane with Lazarazi, and I think I saved like 4 health in just one game, just because they were stressed.
I think that's fair. I do agree with you. I think that's kind of fair if we're looking at it. That way, like, it gives you that different options that I don't think we've seen before. Is Lazarazi really only 5 points?
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Lazarazi is 5. You put on marksmanship, you get more crit generation. You can use it with proton cannons. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, that's actually a very solid crew, I think. Yeah.
All right, we'll have to tell Zach about that.
Oh, he knows. Like, he's stealing one of my lists that has Cad Bane with Lazarazi in it.
Is he? I don't remember. He didn't play that last week. So
no, not yet. He's gonna steal it.
All right. The next list, JJ, that you have is a Republic list.
Yeah, absolutely. So this one here, I went with. I was really debating between the Gauntlet and the Latch, and I think the Gauntlet ended up being unique, if I recall correctly. So I ended up just sticking with the Lat here. So I went with the 212 Battalion Pilot, which normally only has 7 loadout points. With the additional 10, it will go up to 15. I went with old classic here, Corky Kreese with C3PO and fives, just being able to enable the rest of the list there, really letting the other ships like Rick Alley with Juke and Daredevil come in really fast to push in damage. Padme and Lumi always paired together very well, being able to limit the amount of focus results that your opponent can converts, and equipping Padme with homing torpedoes and R7A7 just to make sure they get those crits through on her attacks is also very, very good there. Contrail is there just to basically help as a defensive buff for the rest of the list there, and just be most likely the carrier for the best guard if they need to just run away and just help the rest of the list punish any pursuers. So yeah.
I do like it. I have a slightly different Republic list right under it that we'll talk about, but I like it. The defensive potential is really annoying, and then like offensively, just juking people with Padme is just kind of filthy.
Oh yeah,
where is the dedicated? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, you need more clones for it, so I mean, yeah.
All right.
Take off the shield upgrade, put on dedicated.
That was my first choice, and then I was like, okay, what am I gonna do with 5 points and a mod slot? Like,
you put on Bash and ion bombs, so you have ion control.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
All right, the next list, Alex.
Yeah.
I see JJ didn't choose any of my lists, so it's okay.
So in this list, more of like the Beskar kind of recovery one. This is Obi-Wan. It's got marksmanship for the crits. It's got chopper for just defensive jamming. Hessing Council because I have 1 point left over. And yes, we chose the same thing, the 212 lat. In my head, though, I can now that I have 10 more points, I can finally put back on 7th Fleet Gunner for 5 points.
Yeah.
And then put on like clan training because you ignore requirements for Mandalorian things, so you can have novice tech, clan training, agile, defensive one, and 7th Fleet Gunner.
There is a clarification that's to say for that, right, for that piece. So because you're ignoring the requirements in order for you to equip that doesn't mean that you just add it on. You still have to have that slot available on that ship. You just have to ignore the keyword Mandalorian on that particular upgrade. So
now it has Sync Council.
Yeah, Sync Council. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I figured you got enough. You got a lot of crit generation in this list. You got 3 dedicateds, which is what you need. You got click for defense. You got, like I said, proton bombs. You got R7A7. You got marksmanship, and you have 7 Fleet Gunner.
Yeah.
So that's pretty spicy. I like it.
Yeah, I think it's hilarious that the two of you both chose 212 in that list.
Well, his is for a completely different role. Mine is just like, cool, I get 7 Fleet Gunner back.
I mean, I did for a hot second consider an ARC 170, but then I was like, I don't know if it will survive,
Or I could roll up with a lat that's reinforced and
and support the rest of the list. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So,
well, thank you, JJ, for not choosing any of my lists.
Sorry.
Like, hey, Tanner, make lists for everybody. I don't think you chose any of my lists.
Yeah.
But even the next scenario.
Yeah. Don't worry, I'll add them in if we want to go over the next one.
All right, I just got to find where is the next one. What is it called?
It's Cargo Disruption, I believe.
There it is. I see it. All right, tell us about the second scenario in the pack of Children of Mandalore.
All right, so this one here is called Cargo Disruption Scoring, or sorry, Cargo Disruption. Sorry. So for this one here, this one has a little bit of a asymmetric build in terms of list building here. So before squad building, the players have to determine who will be the aggressor and who will be the protector. Now, I will say the tournament or the event that we're going to have in our store here, we're going to do this as 3 separate rounds for this. So you do have to have an 18-point squad and a 23-point squad and a 20-point squad so that we can play all the different scenarios with your squad here. So for this one here, yep.
Quick question.
Yeah.
For your tournament, do you have to have the same faction or can you have different?
You can have different factions, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So for this one here, so beforehand, you have to determine who's going to be the aggressor because they have a squad limit of 23 squad points. And the protector player only gets 18 points for this one here. Same rules as the other one. They must include at least one non-limited ship, and during the squad building, each player may choose one limited ship to become a Child of Mandalore. Same thing. They get an extra upgrade slot. They gain the Mandalorian keyword and 10 additional loadout value, and they get to ignore the upgrade slot requirements for the Mandalorian builder keyword. So for this one here, you're placing at the start of the place obstacle setup, the protectors, the ones that have the lower points, gets to place a hyperspace marker centered at range 3 from their player edge and at range 4.5 of both neutral board edges, as shown on the mat there. Then the players place obstacles as described as normal, and they cannot be placed within range 1 of the hyperspace marker. Once that's done, the protector of the list with lesser points gets to place 5 cargo shuttle markers from the supply onto the board. And then at the end of setup, each player assigns a Child of Mandalore traditional war or peace to their non-limited ship there. Now, in order for you to win this one here, same rules as normal, 20 points or 12 rounds once that ends there. Now, the scenario feature for this one is called Cargo Shuttle. So it basically acts as a remote, and we do have a pick of that later on a little further down, that are controlled by the protector. Each cargo shuttle is marked with a number 1 through 5, which corresponds to the damage tracker that comes with this particular scenario. And when the cargo shuttle suffers damage, instead of dealing a damage card, you just place a critical damage marker on the corresponding tracker to do that, so you don't have to basically cycle through your deck when you're going through that. When it has the equal amount of damage markers on it, it's destroyed, and the shield tokens for the shuttle are tracked on the tracker space as well for that one here. Now, on the front side, it'll have an arrow on it to start the activation phase. The protector must relocate every shuttle using either a speed 1 straight or bank or a speed 2 1 or bank, and if the cargo shuttle ends up using one of these speed 1 maneuvers, they can recover a shield in exchange for them going slower. So there is a little bit of strategy for you choosing to go slower versus fast there. At the end of the engagement phase, for each cargo shuttle, you choose one enemy ship at range 0 to 2 and roll 2 attack dice. If there are any hit or crit results, the chosen ship suffers 1 damage. And then when the cargo shuttle flees or is removed from play, it is returned to supply there.
So hold on. So when you roll that hit or crit, right? That's 2 dice. What's the probability on 1 dice?
50%, I want to say.
Yep.
Right?
Okay, so you still really only have, so you have a 50% chance of
suffering damage.
Yeah, you have 75% chance on 2 dice to suffer 1 damage.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, which is why the defending group has 23 points. You're most likely going to lose more ships because of these cargo shuttles than normal. So dispatching the shuttles at the start of each end phase. If there are 4 or fewer cargo shuttles in the play area, the protector must place 1 cargo shuttle into the play area. The shuttles placed into the play area so that its rear guides are flush against any side of the hyperspace marker. So essentially, they get to respawn after you destroy them. Now, scoring for this one. When a cargo, for the protectors, meaning the player with the lesser points, when a cargo shuttle flees, the protector earns 6 mission points for that. If the cargo shuttle flees from the protector's board edge, the protector does not earn any mission points. At the start of the end phase, so it has to be on the other side.
Yeah, because I was going to say, if you look at, when you said that, I was looking through these, and I was like, oh, range 3?
Hard turn.
All right. I'm pretty sure I could get that, like, every turn. That's 3 turns and I win? Like...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then at the start of the end phase, the protector earns 1 mission point for each cargo shuttle in play that has 1 or more friendly ships or commando team remotes at range 0 to 1. So this is most likely the reason why the commandos probably went up in points in the last points update, because probably for this. So aggressor scoring: when a cargo shuttle is destroyed, the aggressor earns 6 mission points. So you can kill 4 of these and win the game. Pretty simple. When a ship is destroyed or removed from play, the opposing player earns mission points equal to the squad point value of the ship. So meaning you earn points against other enemy ships as normal. And if the destroyed ship had the condition card of traditional war or peace, that opposing player earns 3 additional points to that for that particular ship. So again, if you have a 7-point generic and your opponent kills that ship, that's 10 points right there. Easy peasy.
This is just the card then that we had seen before.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. So let's take a look at some of these, some of the lists here that we have on here.
This is your 18 points.
Yeah.
And this is your Empire list. You have Magma Tolvin with squad leader, Jamie Beam, and targeting computer. Why you have targeting or Jamie Beam on there is beyond me.
Just to fill it in.
You literally have nothing else to do.
Well, why not electronic? All right. Anyway, that's fine. I get it.
Targeting computer.
Yep, I get it. Yep.
For squad leader. Yep.
And then you have Gideon Hask in the Interceptor with disciplined, elusive, and targeting computer. And the question becomes is why not use Crackshot instead?
Well, if you're able to use Magna to coordinate to Gideon Hask, and he has somebody in Arc, you're able to essentially coordinate a target lock for Gideon Hask, and then on his turn, he can get a focus token as normal there. And I wanted to make sure that this had a little more staying power since, interceptors can pop. So I wanted to make sure that that they had some defensive mods with elusive being there to help out there.
All right, fair enough. You have Fifth Brother with the homing missiles and FCS, which we've seen before, and then a Gauntlet with Mando Optics, Swiveling, Rig Cargo Chute, which I love, Seismics, which I love even more, and then Tarkin
with
and Notorious.
Exactly, yeah. With those 10 additional points, you can fit in Notorious and Tarkin. And if you're not familiar with Tarkin, essentially during the system phase, you're able to first trigger Mandalorian Optics. You can lock an object with that, and then you can trigger Tarkin, allowing the rest of your list to acquire a lock on that ship that you had just locked with Mandalorian Optics. This really helps set up everybody else to be double modded as needed for this one here. And you can do a lot of work with that there. Notorious is there to help discourage people from shooting your ship, your gauntlet fighter in there, so that way they can at least survive a little bit there. Because again, if you're able to kill this gauntlet fighter, that's going to be 10 points for your opponent. So kind of to make them discouraged from killing that particular ship, I felt Notorious would probably be a better choice for that.
Rig Cargo Chute went down to 3 points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Man, who thought that was a good idea?
Yeah.
God, we got to pull Eamon back out.
Yes.
Oh, that was my favorite ship during earlier. Anyway.
Oh yeah, man.
Anyway, sorry. Oh, God. 3-point Rig Cargo Chute. So good. So good.
Yeah, absolutely. So so let's go on to the next list here. So this one is a first order list that I came up for this one here. Now this one here was an aggressor list. This one builds up to 23 points here. So the generic that I came up with, I actually had a hard time deciding on here. The first order Has a couple of ships that are could be worthwhile for generics. I originally thought a C class shuttle, but if I wanted this to go fast and really get into the mix, I actually decided on the First Order bomber instead for this one, because it does have that system phase boost, and you can do a 4 straight, so you can really cover a lot of ground on there. So I equipped this one here since it has 17 loadout points. I gave it blazer bomb, deuterium fuel cells, and Beskar plating, as well as seismic charges to go along with the blazer bomb. So you can essentially a 1 turn drop a blaze bomb, and then the follow-up turns after the bomb explodes and it leaves the blaze there, you can set up a seismic charge to blow that up later as well if you wanted to do that. And since it's very big, you have a very big area effect for that bomb once it comes out there. Joining that list here, we got the TIE Whisper version of Kylo Ren with Malice, concussion, missiles, and advanced optics. Midnight with Tarkin Synchronizer, Marksmanship, Fanatical. Malorus with cluster missiles, and then Lieutenant Gaelic with ion cannon and biohex script codes, and then Quick Draw with Fanatical, Proud Tradition, Special Forces Gunner, deuterium fuel cells, and fire control system to round off that list there.
So I think I would take Midnight, and I would take Midnight and have squad leader for the coordinate, just personally. That's just me, though.
Do you think having 2 impossible coordinate ships in the list is worth it?
Yes.
Coordinate the coordinate.
Because Midnight does, without the missile slot, Midnight's a 2-dice gun. It's not, Midnight's not an effective aggressor. Like, if you're gonna put, you could put Scorch in that list instead, right? Like, or DT. Probably Scorch. You probably put Scorch over DT. Though I like DT better personally, but I think you just put Scorch in there, and to me, that if you want the offense, it's Scorch. If you want the coordinator, some of me thinks having 2 coordinators in that list is probably okay. I think.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because Lieutenant is Gaelic going to coordinate every turn?
No.
It's only when somebody
but if one
dies.
of your ships fall. Yeah,
so
exactly.
Midnight then becomes your guaranteed coordinator every turn. And so you if the other option to me is you could get rid of that First Order candidate, like if you don't want the Z shuttle, and that's your coordinator, and then Midnight essentially becomes Scorch. I just don't think Midnight puts out enough damage personally, and Midnight's value is the coordination, and because it can help. I mean, can you imagine a Lieutenant Gaelic with a target lock and a focus for ion cannon, and then whatever the hell you're shooting at just sits there? I don't know. Like, that seems pretty good to me. Or you could give Malorus. You essentially can make Malorus not have to spend Malorus charges during it, because you could give Malorus a focus and a target lock, and then Malorus has the ability to do what Malorus wants to do and can save Malorus charges for later, right? And then Malorus is a more effective gun in the end game, or survivable piece in the end game with charges at the end. But that's just me.
Yeah.
I kind of want to run this list anyway.
All right, so going on to the next list here. This one is, I believe,
Alex.
Alex's list. Yeah.
Yes, this is an 18-point list. So I figure we need a generic, right? So we just put a Falcon in there.
Yeah.
You know, it's got 10 extra points. You can, put useful things on there. You can put like a shield upgrade. You can have barrage rockets because it gains the missile slots. So you can have your arc to the side and have barrage rockets out the front.
That's gross.
Yeah, pretend you're, the resistance bomber, except for you're actually useful and good.
And then equip it with Beskar.
Yeah.
Hold on one second. So if you put Ray, right, and you put barrage rockets on there, you still have 4 points left, right?
Yeah, you can have like Mando optics and like a 1-point Talon.
or
Yep.
clan training if you want.
Oh my
Wow.
god.
Yeah, you can
I
do
don't
that
know
as
about
well.
that. I don't. Yeah, I guess.
I mean, I'd probably do something like Beskar,
Yeah, Beskar.
just in case you have someone in your front arc. But there's a lot of stuff you can mess around with there. It's kind of silly. Also, you have Snap Wexley, the HLC R68. Kaz, just enduring with bucket. You take the fuel leak, you flip it up, you cancel with enduring. It's a bunch of silly things you can do with that. But Tally does not specify friendly ship or anything. Tally says when you bullseye someone, the defender rolls an extra die. And if your defender's a shuttle, it's still a defender. It's not a ship or anything like that. It's not friendly. It's not limited to that. So you actually get to roll 2 dice with your ship if you really wanted to, which is why I have Tally in there over their plethora of 4-point ships I could have put in there. Kind of silly. And I love me some Ion
I like
Control.
the Tally in this type of build. I think Tally's really good.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. I just noticed, there's like a little bit of a loophole there. Kaz can be very frustrating. He can live a lot longer than you want him to, especially when everyone else is such high initiative nowadays. And then also you have a Falcon. Like they can shoot at the Falcon all day they want, by all means. You're sinking a lot of ships to get that extra bonus points for that.
Now, when Kaz is attacking the cargo shuttle, he doesn't get the additional die, right? Since they don't have an initiative, right?
Well, this is the protecting list.
Oh yeah, that's right. Protectors. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so he doesn't care.
But
he
yeah,
doesn't care. Yeah.
I would assume he doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't care.
Yeah, this is for protecting it. So I think that's just a little sneaky little. I mean, if you really wanted to, I guess you could run 4 3s with this list, but I think that's just worse than running 3 4s, especially with Tally in there. So,
yeah, because it gives you that offensive firepower, right, to be able to still take stuff off the board. So, all right, JJ.
All right. So
what about the CIS list?
This one is also a protector list as well. This is an 18-point list here. So for the generic here, I really was on the fence between a Belbalab that can take both Impervium and Beskar, or the HMP Separatist Predator. I ended up going with this just because you get more loadout value and slots with this one here. So I equipped this one here with Electro Chaff missiles, Afterburners, and Discord missiles on this particular one here. You're able to, they're deceptively fast. You could do a 5 straight with that HMP, do an Afterburners if you want, and then set up a electro chaff missile for the second one there to help jam the enemy ships there, and then follow that with a Discord missile on the same turn as well. Funny fact is you can also do the side slip 3 and then afterburners with the HMP if you wanted to as well. That's pretty gross. Pairing this up here was with Dirge with Predator, Proton Cannons, and Contraband Cybernetics. Kind of iffy on the Predator on Dirge, but I couldn't really think of anything like right off the bat like quickly. Cad Bane with Marksmanship, Proton Cannons, Engine Upgrade, and Counter Nets to help slow down those ships or any ship that might get into the path of the counter net there. And then 2 bombardment drones with cluster mines and delayed fuses to help block off the path for potential aggressors that may come in to attack the shuttles or my ships there to round off that 18 points there.
So I don't know. Again, I think the engine upgrade on CAD. I just fly it different, I guess.
The reason why I have it on there is mainly for when CAD's ability triggers, right? There's times where you want to boost into a position or boost out of the position when CAD already has a stress. And if you don't have that engine upgrade, then you end up double stressing your CAD. So in my times that I played with CAD on the different lists that I have, the engine upgrade has been very, very key to still boost CAD while he's stressed and only have that single stress. So that's the reason why I keep it on there, just to give that option to CAD to have that white boost.
I guess. I don't know. It's Not my style. Not my style. So you didn't have a 23 point list, did you?
No, I didn't get a chance to finish it. No.
All right.
Well,
so
I mean, the first order technically, but yeah.
is it?
Yeah, first order is 23. Yeah.
All right, well, then I will give one of my lists because you didn't give yours.
Yeah. So if you scroll down, you got your rebel list. It looks like.
If it ever posts in here. Yep. So this is a list I kind of had built. I don't know how good it is. It is going with the vector cannons, Keo. So
Christ.
I mean, I'm sorry. Like you can take it off there.
Fine.
It's just
it's good.
It's just
good.
It's me trying to appease Alex with still having my
You just
my take on it.
disrespecting Alex. Yeah, it's fine.
So I chose an Ezra gauntlet with the child, Lando, Contraband, and Night Brother. Sabine with Beskar, Bodica with clan chaining, optics, hopeful, Beskar. I don't know if that's the best use of Bodica's ability, right? But I like the hopeful aspect on there. With the weird Beskar plating aspect. So not 100% sold on it, but I kind of think it's a little silly, right? Then we have the B-12 Squadron and the generic for that, and this is where it changes, right? It gets synced laser cannon and plasmas. I don't know if that's good or not, but that's what I was putting on there. Sync laser and plasma, fire control. You're basically able to get off your plasma shot, right? And then you could take your sync laser cannon shot. You're never going to be calculating, but it's like 2-3 dash shots without being a main one. You get fire control on the first one, and hopefully your focus that you take or whatever you take on the second one. Then I have Thane, and this is just silly. There's probably better builds for Thane, but I thought Deadeye Shot would be hilarious for the crit aspect.
So much disrespect.
Yeah. But I really don't think it's good, but I just think it's hilarious, right? Like it's there, just probably it's a meme. But in this type of an event, I think it could potentially be good. Then you have cluster missiles and chopper. And obviously the cluster missiles are there to just feel the chopper like we talked about last week. That's all it's there for. It's there for me to keep my Thane around. I just want my Thane to live. And then obviously the keel with the prockets, though I don't know, I might lean more towards the concussion missile piece. It might just feel better if you have that large of a list. But the prockets just felt like that spike damage, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I like it. So I've actually been seeing a lot of Thane with prockets because you could just close the S foils and boost focus, and line up a bullseye with Thane and shoot a procket at somebody. I've seen that being used quite a bit. But I do like the survivability of this version of Thane with chopper and cluster missiles, just being able to regen those shields there. With Bodica, I'm not sure actually, because I've seen a lot more builds with Bodica being flown with Hera and squad leader, or swarm tactics rather, so that way she can shoot at higher initiative. Shooting at her regular initiative 4, I mean, it's definitely interesting because you do have the potential to still do some good damage with Bodica, and hopeful can be really good to help boost into range when you need to. So it just really depends, but I definitely like this build, especially that Ezra with Lando. I mean, that could be really, really good.
Yeah, to me, I don't know. Like after listening to Alex for how many things about how good Lando is, I know it's not your Falcon Lando, but it does feel fun to do with Ezra. Like it's just like it feels just like maximum disrespect, right? Like you're not killing freaking Ezra, you know? I don't know. I don't know. I think there's probably other Ezra builds you could have, but all right, and the last list that we're going to cover, and then we're going to call it a night here, is another Alex Aggressor list with Republic.
Oh man. Okay, so it's a sinker swarm, right?
Oh,
Because I'm just like 23 points. I have sinker. It's actually also 2 I5s, and the rest of the list is I3, so that's really well. It's really well balanced. But this has sinker with Ayla, so you can focus and then coordinate, which is nice. R4P and Synchronized Council. Synchronized Council works really well with Jag because they're also both the same initiative, by the way. So they even sync up even more with that. You just got a generic Delta 7. You get 10 extra points, so it's probably like R2D2 and concussion missiles. Or you
yeah.
can do the R4P17 in like a rocket, which is also really funny to me. And then you got SOC Jag, SOC Oddball, SOC Axe, and SOC Kickback. And it's all real lovely. You get the re-rolls inherently with Sinker, so it's just kind of just go over there and just kill everything.
And you're able to get enough guns to probably gun down a few of those cargo shuttles pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, you got 6 shots here, and they're all pretty well. I mean, they're probably double modified. You see, you have Sinker, who has also focus and coordinating things, so you can still get your diamond borons off just off rip, which is really silly. You could take the evade lock, so it's pretty.
That's
nasty.
good. I like that. There's a CIS version of that, right? Like you could. Oh my god! Can you? Oh my god! I can run Seer. I can run a Seer, Captain Seer.
Yeah.
And there's so many generics in here. It's not even funny.
Mm-hmm. I just wanted to do a faction that you guys didn't really do yet, so
yeah. No, that's fair. Oh, this is so.
I figure with that's a 6 ship sinker swarm list with 2 arcs, or 3 include sinker, and that's not okay.
So overall, guys, what do you think about the potential for these scenarios? Is this something that you think that could potentially make it into regular tournament play, or is this something that's just better off as a one-time event?
I think it's cool. I like switching up, just game styles. When I played like Halo, I'd play Slayer, but I'd also do like Capture the Flag and Assault and all that kind of stuff. It's a nice switching up. I'm not sure if I would do a tournament of this kind of stuff because it's just kind of I don't know, a little bit weird to me, but
I don't think it's fleshed out enough. I think we just somewhat broke a little bit of that. I mean, like a Sinker Swarm and a Seer Swarm both just seem really dirty, especially with the amount of energy shells and ion missiles floating around.
You could also run, like in my Republicans, you could run a generic V-Wing for 3 points.
Yeah.
And then take out Jag and Oddball and add even another 3-point ship, or take out one of them and add the 2 Z95s, So it can get silly. The game's, balanced around the 4 scenarios that we have. And I think switching up something that as meaningful as like running 18 or 23 points is pretty huge.
Yeah, I will tell you, I will be happy when our local runs this event. I'm all for that. I am not. Al, I hope Sean does not watch this episode. That's all I can say. I don't want Sean to know about the Sinker Swarm. Oh man,
it's a Sinker Swarm that passes around focus and evades.
Yuck.
With a cord.
Yeah. So to answer your question, JJ, the answer is I don't think this could ever be in standard, but I think you could run a tournament like with it, and I think if AMG really did want to, they could put out like Worlds invites or have like a separate circuit, and it would be popular enough to do something like that.
Yeah.
How about this? If they made this a day 2 of Worlds, or I guess maybe if we don't have it might be a 3-day Worlds that we have to play now. Maybe this is a day 3 of Worlds. I'm kind of sold on like I would play that in that. Like if I dropped out of Worlds or scrubbed out, I would play that event 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is definitely a fun alternate event that could be run. I mean, I think this has a a valid way for at least AMG to make generics relevant again. And hey, maybe I'll finally be able to use one of those mini alt art cards for generics that I have stacked in my binder, like never to be used again. So yeah.